Hey everyone, I just want to give you a heads up. Check out the next podcast on why it's just as important to manage your stress as it is to wash your hands and maintain social distancing. Here's a little spoiler or preview. Managing your stress is going to help your immune system. So check out the next podcast. If you're like me, you know your mind can be your best or your worst friend. Our mind is an amazing tool that can do incredible things. But our mind can also create problems out of nowhere. Sometimes our mind keeps recommending the same solutions to problems even when they aren't working. I see this pattern play out as individuals try to overcome their anxiety, depression, or even struggles with pornography, using approaches that make sense but aren't very helpful. This podcast will show you how real researchers and clinicians are changing the way we approach mental health and reveal helpful research-supported principles designed to help real people with real problems. My name is Dr. Cameron Staley, and welcome to the LifeAfterSeries radio. So this week I was preparing a lecture on health psychology and reviewing the role between how well we manage our stress and how that interacts with our immune system and recovery with medical illnesses like hypertension or cancer or even things like HIV. And it made me think about the role of stress during this COVID-19 crisis and how I've been really careful with social distancing and washing my hands and staying in my home, that trying to protect myself from the actual exposure to the virus, I've been very cautious, very protective about. But one thing that I haven't been as thoughtful about is how well am I managing my stress, because it might be just as important. So as I was preparing this lecture on the role of stress and our immune system, I teach my students about our autonomic nervous system. So we've got two branches of that. We've got the sympathetic nervous system. That's our fight or flight response. That's the thing that helps us respond to threats and dangers and stresses in our life. And that's the one that really helps us kind of fight off things. So we really need that system. The challenge is when that sympathetic nervous system branch is chronically aroused, it can actually lead to the suppression of our immune response. It can lead to the promotion of cortisol, which can also contribute to challenges with fighting off infections. So as I was thinking about that, I thought, wow, just like as I'm spending at least 20 seconds, probably closer to 30 seconds, washing my hands better than I've ever done in my life, I should be as thoughtful about managing my stress. And this is why. So when we are responding to a stressor, that sympathetic nervous system reacts, and our body goes through a number of different changes. And that's at a muscular level, a cardiovascular level, an endocrine level, where our body is responding to fight off a stressor. And so that is a really adaptive response when a threat is immediate and pressing and then goes away. The challenge with things like preparing for stay-at-home orders or a virus that you can't see or a worldwide pandemic is the threat is pervasive and it's not going away anytime soon. So that's putting us all under this pretty chronic stressor. And we know that when stressors are unpredictable and out of our control and for a long duration, we are more likely to experience what they call allostatic load. So what happens is initially our immune system kind of comes online and we are actually at this resistant stage where we're less likely to get sicknesses, colds, flus, infections, things like that. So our immune system actually improves initially in that initial response to that threat. But after a while, staying in that chronic arousal range, we enter into this exhaustion phase where our immune system actually starts to come down and we are more susceptible to contracting illnesses. So even though we're under a lot of physical precautions to keep ourselves a safe distance from other people and sanitizing our groceries and staying at home as much as we can. It really is just as important to manage our stressor, our own stresses in our life, to make sure that our immune system is operating at an ideal level. A couple other things we know about how we manage stress is our attitudes. So individuals that are more pessimistic are more likely to believe that they don't have any control over their situation, that their actions aren't really going to make a difference, things aren't going to get better. That also activates that sympathetic nervous system and is going to contribute to that chronic arousal that's not going to be optimal for us at this time. So instead of kind of focusing on the things that are out of our control and that things are never going to get better, instead focusing on what are things that you can do right now in this moment to make your situation better. So I've recognized at this time that I really enjoy going to work. I enjoy walking around campus, interacting with my colleagues, kind of joking around, and I'm not able to do that as much. And so there's things I need to do to compensate with that. So I've tried to be a lot more intentional about what I'm grateful for as I'm spending a lot more time at home. And with that, I've had a lot more time with my family. I've had a lot more time to prepare meals and enjoy board games, enjoy some movies. I haven't had quite the mental space to get into books right now. That seems like a little too much effort after my day of work. But I found just enjoying that time with my kids. Exercising has been a really important refuge for me. So I spend a lot more time on the bike, lifting weights. That's been really helpful. So we know when we're under that fight or flight response, our body is activated and trying to respond to a threat. And yet if we're having that fight or flight response and just sitting on the couch or staying in bed, our body's not able to exercise that very thing it's programmed to do. So at this time, it is really important to maintain physical activity. So I've actually stepped up my exercise routine. I'm biking a lot more often than I do. I'm lifting a lot more weights than I typically am. And I'm trying to do it in a healthy way, pace myself. I am getting older, so I'm noticing more ailments like my right shoulder's kind of giving me some problems, so I'm backing off the bench press and doing some other shoulder exercises. So I'm trying to do things in a really safe way. But I'm also recognizing right now my body is experiencing a lot of stress and it's responding to a threat. And it wants to fight back in a way. And yet I can't really combat a virus, but I can exercise. And that's a really healthy outlet for that fight or flight response that you're experiencing. So having that attitude, the other things that we know that contribute to healthy coping is being more present focused. So individuals that are always in a sense of urgency and are always competitive or maybe even hostile towards other people, that we know that there is a correlation between those personality traits that we might call type A personality traits, where there's a lot of competitiveness, high sense of urgency, and then being kind of angry towards other people, that does have correlations with hypertension and coronary heart disease. So at this time, it is really important, instead of viewing resources as finite and in competition with other people, finding ways to slow down and be in this moment, to really enjoy the space that you're in, the opportunities that you do have, the people in your life. This is a time to kind of count your blessings and be grateful for them. But also, maybe now more than ever, trying to find ways to cooperate. Instead of trying to defeat other people, find ways to help other people. So that's something that I reflected on the night before, is when I'm under threat, kind of my default is, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to take care of my family, I'm going to take care of people right in my immediate circle. And yet I found that really my value is much broader than that. I want to help people outside of my circle, people that I help in a therapy context, but also on a much broader scale. And so last night I started to send out some text messages to some friends and family and people in my neighborhood, and they were really simple. But it was just to check in, like, hey, how are you doing? how's your family doing? And I found that people were extremely responsive. They were asking me how I was doing. So I was sending lots of messages back and forth just to reach out, to check in. So really a simple thing. But I found that I felt a lot better. I felt a lot more relaxed, a lot more settled, because I was getting out of the things that I was so worried about and instead reaching out to help other people in a way that works with social distancing. So I can't have a game night with my friends. I can't go to their house and physically do that. There's ways you can do that online. But I can reach out and let them know that I'm thinking about them, that I care about them, that I'm here for them. So that's a helpful way to be present and reduce kind of that competitive nature that some of us may have. The other thing is we have a lot of research on the role of social support and our physical health. So we've got a lot of research out there that's looked at individuals who have a diagnosis of cancer and those that are more likely to have people in their life, and this could be partners, friends, or family, or even participate in social groups, have a better prognosis. They have less occurrence of new tumors. There also can be longer lifespan, and even in some situations, full recovery. So social support is not a cure for cancer, but what it does do is it does promote that immune system response. So often when we are overwhelmed and kind of told you got to stay at home and social distance, we tend to isolate and withdraw and turn inward, and that's not going to be optimal for our immune system right now. So individuals that are experiencing physical health concerns and stressors in their life tend to do better as they maintain that social contact. And that's really challenging right now where we've been asked to have that physical distancing. But fortunately, through technology, we're able to connect with people online, through our phone, through chats, through messages, through forums, through groups. This is a really important time to do that. So maintaining social connection is going to kind of quiet that autonomic, or I guess that sympathetic nervous system response that's on overdrive right now, trying to respond to these threats that are unseen all over the place. So having that positive attitude, being present focused, trying to focus on other people, and then building that social support is going to be really helpful. Also, now is a time to maybe practice some healthy behaviors in your life. So those that are a little more pessimistic are also probably a little more inclined to engage in some negative coping strategies or less effective coping strategies like avoidance. That's probably all of our favorite one, where if there's conflict in our life or we have a big exam due or we're working on a project, we tend to procrastinate or avoid it or deny it or put it away, and we try to distract ourselves by just kind of binge watching something on TV. And really our brains are not equipped to avoid things like that. Our minds just do. They can't not do. So if we're trying to distract ourselves from this really important conversation that we've been postponing, really that conversation is kind of just sitting there, just kind of buffering, still taking resources, still activating our nervous system. So instead of procrastinating things you need to get done or postponing things, now's the time to maybe have those conversations. Maybe set a plan to accomplish those things that you're wanting to work on. That would be a lot healthier way to approach those stressors in our life. Also, the other positive coping strategies. We've talked about exercise and fitness and activity. The other one is nutrition. So individuals that have more of that pessimistic coping strategy often are less likely to eat healthy and maybe a little more likely to use substances to manage and cope with emotions. So now if you're kind of locked in at home, you may have more time to improve your nutrition, eat healthier, prepare your meals. Instead of mindlessly eating while watching TV, maybe actually savor what you're eating. Have a conversation with people in your life as you're preparing food and enjoying that. So improving your nutrition is also going to be a way that we can improve our immune system and manage stress at this time. So to revisit that autonomic nervous system, we talked about that sympathetic branch, that fight or flight response. Right now, that's probably pretty active for most of us in the face of danger. Our body also has another branch, and that's our parasympathetic nervous system. So that is known as our rest and digest response. So for many of us, that might be a little disrupted right now. I know it is for me. Typically, I sleep pretty well, but since I've kind of been on high alert during the day, my body's having a hard time settling in at night, and my sleep has been impacted as a result. So that parasympathetic nervous system, it's kind of our body's natural relaxation response. And there's a few things we can do to help promote that becoming more online. One of my favorite things I do is meditation. And when I do meditation, I focus a lot on my breathing. So slowing my breathing down, really bringing my attention to the rise and fall of my diaphragm with each breath. I kind of notice the coolness of the air as it enters my nose as I breathe in, and then the warmth of the air as it circulates through my body and exits through my mouth. So I'm just bringing my awareness to this moment, slowing my breathing down, relaxing my shoulders and my chest muscles, and just focusing that breath from my diaphragm. And as we slow our breathing down and engage more of our diaphragm, we are activating our vagus nerve more. And our vagus nerve is our 10th cranial nerve that innervates our lungs and our heart and our digestive system. And that's the nerve that's responsible for our relaxation response. So as we slow our breathing down, we are activating that vagus nerve more and more. And you're going to feel that sense of calm. That digestion is going to come back line. And you might just start to feel tired. So if you haven't got great sleep lately and you're starting to calm your body, you might start to notice those cues that you're tired, that you're ready to sleep. Also, many of us tend to snack when we're nervous, and I'm one of those who likes my treats, and many times I've discovered that I tend to snack more when I'm stressed because eating also activates that vagus nerve. So if you find yourself kind of overeating and snacking and eating in unhealthy ways, try focusing more on your breathing, slowing that down. That's going to activate that vagus nerve in the same way and still be calming. So there's lots of really good apps out there that promote mindfulness. Stop, Breathe, and Think is one of my favorite ones. There's the Virtual Hope Box. There's Headspace. There's Insight Timer. There's a lot of really helpful free apps out there that have dozens and dozens of free meditations on them. And what I found is I slow down periodically throughout the day and just breathe for a couple minutes or listen to a guided meditation or do some progressive muscle relaxation or some yoga or some stretching. What that's doing is kind of slowing yourself down throughout the day. So your fight or flight response is like the gas pedal, and relaxing, meditation, breathing is like tapping the brake. So instead of going 120 miles an hour during the day and now you're having a hard time going to sleep, as you're able to tap the brake throughout the day, maybe when you get home at night and you're ready to rest finally, maybe you're going 60 instead. And so you might be able to get to sleep a little bit quicker, have a little bit deeper sleep. So it is really helpful at this time to engage in some of those relaxation exercises with more intention than maybe we've done before. So generally, I do pretty well managing stress and anxiety, but at this time, I've recognized I've got to up my game. So I've been stretching more, I've been relaxing my jaw a lot more, I've been making sure my shoulders are relaxed, I've been engaging in that relaxed kind of breathing method a lot more. I'm kind of noticing thoughts, checking in with tension. I'm going on walks more often, engaging that exercise a lot more frequently. And then when I'm not working, I'm not trying to plan in my head. Instead, I'm just being present. I'm with my family, I'm working on a project, and kind of bringing myself back to this. I'm someone who likes to be informed and stay updated, but I've had to really scale back how many times I'm checking news sources. So I'm still checking the current updates and recommendations just to make sure I can keep myself safe and my family safe, but also the students that I provide counseling and instruction to. So I'm still checking, but I'm really reducing that and just taking my time, eating my meals. I'm not eating while working. I'm just eating my sandwich, just enjoying it, taking that time to settle in. So I'm slowing down. When we're under duress, it feels like we need to speed up to get everything done. But really, when we're under duress, we need to slow down and make sure we're doing the things that are going to be important, helpful for us, but also that we can manage our stress to make sure that our immune system can do what it does to fight off bacteria, virus, and infections. Because coronavirus is not the only thing out there. There's still the flu, there's still cold, there's still other things that we can have. So making sure that we are healthy, we're eating well, getting good sleep, getting good exercise is going to be really key in managing our stress. So keep washing your hands, keep practicing social distancing, but as you're doing that, take some opportunities to slow down, reconnect with people in your life, reconnect with yourself and nature, and managing your stress. And I wish you all the best. Take care. Hey, thanks for listening. Please remember to rate and subscribe. I know you might be facing some issues in your life or know someone who is. Issues like anxiety, challenges in dealing with emotions, or other compulsive behaviors like unwanted pornography. And I know it's tough to talk to people about problems. Difficult to stare those obstacles down that we face in life and to really know how to deal with them. It's hard to know what to say and when to say it. And then when that moment you finally reach out to family and friends happens, sometimes it falls flat. I haven't found many programs teaching effective strategies like mindfulness, how to improve relationships, and ways to address unwanted pornography viewing through research-supported principles. So whether you simply want to help with a problem like unwanted pornography, difficulty responding to emotions, or just want to understand the world of someone struggling with porn a little better, head over to LifeAfterPornography.com and get in on the next training. There you'll learn the exact same strategies individuals addicted to pornography used to transform their lives by implementing principles from evidence-based treatment shown effective in research for reducing unwanted pornography viewing. You'll learn the secrets, the myths, the enemies to recovery, and the LAP framework for dealing with unwanted porn viewing that we call WAVE. If that's something that interests you, click the link in the description or just head over to lifeafterpornography.com. I'm Dr. Cameron Staley. See you on the inside.